Hello everyone. First we would like to thank to our students for all the effort they did. So you can see it later behind the screen, and also the assignment is there on the wall if you are interested. And hi everybody, thanks for coming. My name is Johana Sýkorová, this is Grischa Erbe. And we are here on behalf of Studio Moniker. Sorry for my voice, I have a little cold, so it's going to be a little crooked. We are a small collective of 6 people. On the left you can see Luna, she founded the studio. And then there is Thomas, he's our front-end developer. Then Čerk in the middle, he's back-end developer. Next to him is Roel, he founded the studio, Studio Moniker, together with Luna. Me, I'm a graphic designer. And then Grischa. Yeah, he missed the photo shooting. So as I already said, our studio was founded by Luna Maurer, Roel Wouters and Jonathan Paki in 2012, and the rest of us joined about 3 years ago. In the very beginning they wrote a conditional design manifesto that you can see here. It's unfortunate that you cannot really read it that well, but this manifesto sort of became a milestone for Moniker practice. It sort of defines a method of working. It's sort of a resource that anyone can use and later draw from. At Moniker it's rather about specific approach than an actual medium, which we then drift from websites, site-specific installations, stickers, drawings, to anything. Our interest is mainly in developing rule-based environments, sort of systems that are then engaging for the user. We very much enjoy incorporating users into our design process and see what people will do, which is usually unpredictable, surprising, it's full of hacking results and very much reflecting the human creativity. So it's rather about creating environments for things to happen than focusing on the final design. And even though sometimes it's hard for us to explain what Moniker is or does, because we don't really appreciate like an interactive design studio. We don't really think that that's the right characteristic. We always focus on to be as much understandable and accessible to the wider audience, because most of our projects are web-based, so then it's kind of challenging to think of the wide audience and all people worldwide that you are addressing and sort of step out the design bubble a little bit.
Yeah, the first project we want to present is not web-based. It's a generative participatory installation, which is executed by a large group of people, and it's called Fungus, and it's actually a series of installations we did for various museums and institutions, cultural institutions mainly. It's a very simple game based on the conditional design manifesto, which we should probably later hang there. Mm-hmm. And it has a very strong limitation to only 4 stickers on a sticker set. And each participant receives that sticker set containing those 4 stickers and a set of rules of how to apply those stickers to a surface. And so this is what it looks like. So these participants then become basically the machine or the processor to execute that like an algorithm basically. And they're creating unpredictable patterns. And what you see here is the blue fungus developed for Stedelijk Museum in Amsterdam. What is really nice and also challenging about it is that you don't really know what's the outcome before you really do it. So you design on a micro scale, you design this sticker set and you maybe place some in the room, but it really comes to life if you let it grow with a large amount of people. And therefore museums are perfect because you have obviously a lot of people, and also it kind of breaks this untouchable museum aura where you are not allowed to touch anything, but instead you're just sticking stickers somewhere. In this one, they used about 10,000 sticker sets in 3 months, and all corridors were covered with fungus. They spread, in this case, very wide, so it's very branched and not very dense. That is obviously by design. So you have this very strong limitation of only 4 stickers. So your actual influence on the whole image or pattern is not very big. That is why you have to decide to contribute to an already existing image or to an already existing idea. And that is also the main focus of the whole project. And sometimes you also have to cheat to have a little bit more power. In this case, if you rip it, then you just have more stickers. This is the mint fungus in the museum in Haarlem. This time with different shapes, so you have circles and lines. This is the red fungus in the Museum Laboral in Spain, which was also based on circles and lines but had different rules. So it's very site-specific. They're always newly developed for each site. This fungus in particular was referencing network visualizations. And the rules were that there should be no open-end lines, and they should always be connected to other lines or to circles. And sometimes people don't like to read rules, and they react to what they see. And in this case, you can really easily recognize the idea behind it and just contribute without reading the rules. This is the ultramarine fungus in Art Basel, Miami Beach, which was later acquired by Walker Art Center in Minneapolis.
Paper storm. In this project, instead of stickers, we introduced digital papers, and we investigated how to use the power of the crowd to spread a message. We were approached by Mozilla Advocacy, which is part of Mozilla. It's a foundation that fights for open internet and its ethical values, and they asked us to campaign tool that they could use to fight net neutrality, but also later on they could customize it to different topics. So the idea comes from airborne leaflet propaganda, which I guess you all know. It's a way of spreading messages over big areas, usually during war times. And we used this concept and transformed it into a digital tool where you can spread leaflets over a virtual planet, in this case Google Earth. And our goal was to make the crown white and also trigger response from politicians and other internet users. But first, we started with the research on the actual leaflets, on the paper bombs, to get familiar with its visual language. And so how create toolbox or sort of a manual for ourselves for later on to design our own leaflet. So we found out that they used a lot of condensed fonts, probably to save space because the leaflets were very small. On the other hand, with the big word spacing and capitalized headlines, bullet lists, whatever. And we also found some nice ones from Vietnam, some Asian leaflets which were very beautiful. They were also using a bunch of images and all kinds of nice designs. So the idea in the beginning was to generate the leaflets on the fly, so we can have language diversity, we can use different colors, maybe fonts, sizes, but also to make it accessible for the people at Mozilla so they can edit the text themselves and they don't have to discuss that with us. But that brought a lot of technical restrictions that affected mostly the typography when it comes to alignment and spacing and type size. So we decided to skip the generating on the fly and design leaflets as a PNGs and then use them on the actual website. But we wanted to have sort of a diversity, that it's not just one digital leaflet repeated over and over again. So we designed 10 different designs, and we played with this geomorphic feel to make it feel as if it was a physical object, an actual leaflet. And this is then the final website and its interface. for which we selected a beautiful typeface from a type designer, Prague type designer, Jan Novak, which I hope you all know. And yeah, let's play the website. You fly to Washington, which was our target, FCC building, which is a Federal Communication Commission building. And then you have an endless stack of flyers, and by clicking, oh, nice. And by clicking, you can throw leaflets on the ground. And you can also get these popping notifications to keep you going and throw as many leaflets as possible. And you can also see the real countdown, how many leaflets are being thrown at that specific moment. And this campaign reached about 22 million leaflets, so it was quite successful. And it became kind of seductive, because once you find out that the leaflet lands where you click, and people found that out very quickly, and they turned the surrounding of the FCC building in a complete graffiti wall, which you can see here, a little bit, sneak peek, and we also did a video that captures the whole process. So people had a lot of fun, and we also had a lot of fun when it ended, to go over the whole surrounding and discover all different drawings. Like they played with the actual map and augmented it. The target, as you saw already, became completely white. And the next thing that got filled first was the nearby river, because of the contrast, so it served very well as a drawing canvas. So it was filled with all kind of like elaborate drawings, but also IDs, signatures, and hashtags, Go FCC or so, messages about net neutrality. We also got quite some program tricks, which we don't really know how this was made, because we try to prevent programming by limiting the amount of clicks that you can do in 1 second to sort of distinguish person from a machine. But people went for it and they sort of broke it, and it's in a way kind of flattering that someone put so much effort to make a sort of perfectly generated type made of leaflets.
That's script injection.
And then otherwise it was just a bunch of random drawings. People really used it not just for the FCC, for the net neutrality, but also to just express themselves. They took it as if it was a toilet wall. So you saw it was full of dick pics, which Mozilla didn't really like to be associated with. So they asked us to create a sort of moderation tool where they could throw big amount of leaflets and cover inappropriate drawings or messages, stuff like that. But anyway, maybe it wasn't even necessary, because people were also sort of editing and censoring, moderating each other. Yeah, that's another. And even though it wasn't quite easy to draw with it, you have to wait until the leaflet drops and then you can drop another one. It still gives quite freedom for the participants to have fun and to play with it. The next project is called Sculpture Camp. That's also collaborative, using collective effort, but this time we took people for a special walk. It was much more physical. We were approached by Yorkshire Sculpture Park in England, and they specifically asked if we could create a participatory project that would engage their visitors in a specific way with their sculptures that they have in the park. Because that park, it's a beautiful park, huge, it's close to Manchester. It has around 100 sculptures. And almost everyone naturally goes to the park, takes pictures of the sculptures without thinking about the angle, just for fun, local dog walkers, couples. So we a little bit took advantage of it. We sort of embraced this fact and we provided a framework that challenges visitors to look at the sculptures differently, maybe more precisely, more in a detailed way. So then visitors sort of became altogether 3D scanner that sort of together they create a virtual version of the park. So this was our promo video. As you already saw in the video, you go to the park, you open sculpture.cam, you tap a start, select a silhouette, and then you walk through the park and you just try to find the right angle and make it fit. And you take a picture, contribute it, and then you can see how it's incorporated. You get this congratulations page, and then you can see it included in the 3D version of the sculpture. So Sculpture Camp was the first project that we have done using mobile phone, and that makes the project very rich, much richer than if it was just a desktop first website, because the contributions really come from all different environments and places. And also the nice thing about it is that it's not an app. It's not something you have to download to your phone. It's a web app, so you just go to the website and you join, you have fun with it. And we had the idea to create a project like that. Using camera overlay, it wasn't possible yet, at least not for iOS, only for Android. So we even had to wait for iOS 11 to release RTC, which is a real-time communication, to create this nice overlay over your cameras. But before we got to that part, we had to select the sculptures, because not all of them are suitable for the project. Some are too big, some are too close to the trees, or too reflective, too dark, too light. So not all of them were suitable, and then we needed the silhouettes. So we teamed up with a specialist, photogrammetry specialist, and he took thousands of pictures from all sides, and then he stitched it in a 3D model like this. But we needed only black and white, so we masked it and we created this black and white 3D model of each sculpture, which then looks like this. And we split it in single frames, and we also had to decide how many angles you get, so it's still fun and sort of doable. So it's 100 angles that the visitors have to fill in order to create or to get one sculpture complete. It creates super nice, almost sort of typographical illustration of each sculpture, but some angles, as you can see, are very similar, so you really have to look hard to find the right angle and to make it fit. Yeah, that's another one. That one was very hard. All sculptures are filled by now, and they are only changing with every single new contribution. And they also became the main reward for the visitors, that they can download it to their device and also share it on whatever social media. In this one you can see very well also all the hacks and selfies and how people play with it and how it's slowly becoming sort of a diary of the life inside the park. And this would be the whole collection of sculptures that we selected for the game. So it's slowly turning into an intriguing 3D collage, and with all different photo quality, photo resolution, light, capturing seasons. So it's becoming really rich, showing the humans behind the cameras, because not everyone wants to follow the rules, of course, which we like a lot. We really appreciate the cheaters and hackers that really go for it and break our rules. So that's that, or people just use it wherever, take pictures of whatever, and that makes it very essential also to see. For us it's nice to see how people play with the tool that we developed and that we gave to them. So, and also with Sculpture Camp we sort of offer a special way to experience the park. So here we can see how the sculptures are located in the park, and for kids it's a super nice variation on hide and seek game. We also gamify the experience in a way that when you go to the app, you see only one sculpture. You get only one silhouette. You don't get to see that there is 10 more. And once you collect one, you get this reward message and sort of challenging message to keep you going and to collect all of them. For the visual identity itself, in the beginning we had in mind some sans serif typeface, something playful, rather organic, that also could in a way reflect the shapes of the sculptures. And for most of our identities we use, they are mostly type-based to make the environment where you interact very clean, sort of intuitive. It's just an environment when you want people to have fun and not to be disturbed by how it looks. But on the other hand, we really tend to always select a typeface that gives it its specific look and that makes it recognizable. Usually we use typefaces or almost exclusively from small type foundries or like independent type designers, but this time we somehow couldn't find the right one, but we also thought it's challenging to maybe create our own for this purpose. And this is then the final design. It's sans serif, we call it Wisner. It's generally slightly narrow with lower contrast, and it has only one cut, but in two different designs where every lowercase and uppercase character gets its own sort of funky, scribbly sibling. And that's something we played a lot in the interface. It was also for us very nice to be in charge of the type of the font, because the whole interface, including buttons and also the confetti animation, everything was in the like a part of the font. which makes it quite elegant for the implementation. Some alternate letters are like literally reflecting the sculptures in the park. You can see here two O's leaning against each other, which is referencing this beautiful sculpture from Henry Moore. It's a mobile-first app, so when you go and Google it online on your desktop, you get to see only a preview of the sculptures. You cannot join it. You have just this message, like a triggering message to go on your phone and join later. It took over 1.5 years to develop the final app, including the typeface, as you can see in the schedule. Unfortunately, the big launch for some reason was scheduled in February, which, as you can all imagine, in February in Britain is very bad weather. It's very cold, so it was a very slow start. And then we kick off after we made the promo video that I showed in the beginning, and then later people in the park they even hired intern for the park just to introduce the sculpture camp to the visitors and to everyone. And here the schedule ends in October 2018, but we are still in touch with the people from YSP and still thinking of improvements and what next we could do next.
Yeah, soon after Sculpture Camp we continued with another project that uses user-generated photography. At New Institute, which is a museum in Rotterdam, they approached us to contribute to their exhibition, and they call it Temporary Academy, called Neuhaus. This exhibition, and you might already see the resemblance to the German movement Bauhaus, it's about what they call the other knowledge, and this term refers to knowledge which is based in like marginalized and unrecognized cultures and tribes. Basically knowledge that is beyond our modern scientific understanding, beyond mathematics and stuff like that. They always explain it with the example that there are tribes and cultures who use singing and songs as kind of a compass and a navigational system, which is not really understandable by our means, but it's apparently there. And so this is like the other knowledge, just to give you a bit of context. So we were approached, and that project we kicked off with our fascination for the matte painting, which is kind of a film technique where you have a glass and you paint on this glass, and to use it as a backdrop for like some scenes in films. And if you use two of those glass layers basically, and you shift them towards each other, you kind of generate an illusion of depth where there is maybe none. And this is mainly used to save money in the first place, or to create settings which are impossible to build. And it's used in sci-fi movies a lot, like Star Wars, and also fantasy movies, Lord of the Rings. Everyone uses that. So our idea was also to create kind of a cinematic world in which the viewers can actually paint on that virtual glass, you could say, by photography. And the outcome was actually a web app that is like an interactive, participatory music video for a Rotterdam-based singer-songwriter called Joe Goes Hunting. And now I go a little bit into the workflow, how we designed that scene. So we wanted to have, in the end, we wanted to have a 3D environment where the camera would fly through. But we started out in Illustrator to emphasize kind of the drawing character of a matte painting. And we always had to keep in mind to have a good performance on mobile devices. And so it kind of, we ended up with this a little bit low polygon style, but we don't have any 3D objects, they're all flat. This is the final scene. We assembled it in Blender. Blender is an open source software. We try to incorporate as much open source software as we can. So the scene should resemble a matte shot, so it's all based on flat shapes, and we restricted ourselves to not let the shapes move, because we discovered that it's kind of a user experience nightmare if you try to tap on a shape and it kind of moves away. We broke that limitation a little bit, but that you will see later. And also what you see here is that we gave every shape an individual color. That was mainly for development purposes, but like in the process of developing, we kind of fell a little bit in love with it. And yeah, the camera movements of the final web app, they were also created in like a special way. So when you do camera movements in 3D applications, they tend to be very mechanic or stiff, because it like lacks the shakiness of a hand, or like the general human factor, basically. And so by chance we had a room scale VR setup upstairs in our studio, and decided to use that for creating the camera rotation. So the rail, you could say, where the camera was flying along, it was predefined. But what you see here is our setup of recording the camera animation rotation part of it, where Johana basically was in VR and controlling the camera with a VR controller that was just taped to a tripod. So it would act like a camera on a tripod. So to recap, the idea was still to use user-generated photography for the scene, but we had to provide like a skeleton for the scene, which looked good even before people were actually contributing to it. So we did some tests. You can see 6 of them here, and you probably guess what we were heading for. We were of course heading for the random colors that we all the time had in the development. Now I'm going to show you some scene examples. This is the beginning. It's rather underwhelming without movement, actually. So I'm just quickly going through that. It's inside of a house in a very abstract environment. Lots of legs, hairy legs, eyes, and a mysterious ball. And so if technology is with me, I'm trying to show you a live demo now. Oh, yeah. Okay, so this is how it looks like when you open it on your phone, of course, because you have camera. And so there is a small introduction. And you're now able basically to tap any shape. Should enable sound, of course. Okay, I like that shape, for example. Okay, it asks me to access the camera. I allow that. And yeah, it's a little bit slow because of all the streaming. But basically, yeah, well.
It works.
Okay, I tap the shutter button, and does this tree fit the scene? So basically every shape also has a corresponding, I think you're totally fitting the scene. Every shape also has a corresponding pair of question and assignment and question. So assignment was photograph a tree, and the question is, does this tree fit the scene? I click yes, of course, it does fit. It's uploading, and basically you're now part of the scene until someone else overrides that. Okay, but I don't want to spoil that much, because we're now looking at a different, like a full version that is recorded by fans of Jogo's hunting. Yeah. This web app, we also used it as a tool for producing campaign material for that exhibition. We initially wanted to use it, but then it turned out that if you make even the highest res screenshots, it still isn't enough for a poster. So we had to redo all of those scenes again in other tools like Illustrator and fill it then in from there. We did lots of campaign material together with Maureen Moran from she's the creative director of the at New Institute, the museum. And on the lower right you see part of the visual identity of this museum, which fits nicely into the rest of the design. It was also nice to see like a digital environment turn into ink again. So you see the campaign material like, next to a typical Amsterdam lamppost. That's the entrance of the museum. And bigger billboards. Yeah, in Rotterdam.
Me? Yeah. Well, that's us again. So yeah. Doesn't matter. I can do it.
Okay.
Moniker is a platform to research new technologies, create daring projects, while also being conscious about the wider audience and sort of stepping outside the bubble. So for us, it's important we make a selection always. We just don't say yes to every single project. We choose wisely because we want every project to be challenging and for us also to learn something new and to keep the studio vibrant and fun still. And that's it. Thank you for your attention.